Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kurt, and welcome to episode 248 of Far Lands or Bust. Woof! Wolfie is just not wasting any time barking on cue. Oh, this place seems like it might have been a little bit of a dangerous place to make a hidey hole. Oh, that's right. It was on the Drip Tower of episode 247. I guess is what I can call it, but we are done with such a silly place. Grabbing Wolfie and continuing west to the Far Lands. What do I feel like my inventory is over encumbered. Yes, there's cobble and sand, and that's about it. Whoop, wrong way. There we go. All right, sorry. Let's go. Episode 248, Far Lands or Bust. Skeleton residue. Skeleton residue. Woof. We're still... Hey, guy. How's it going? Sorry to have disturbed you. There's also a guy right there. All right, let's pay attention. Hi. How you doing? Just passing through. Don't mind me. I'll leave you to your business. Business. All right. So, over at farlandsorbust.com, you may realize that we are raising money for Child's Play charity. And we are at $28,110.17 since the last episode. Well, since the last episode, which was 27,000 something, 800. But for the season 4, that is how much we have raised. Our goal is $100,000 this season. So we're well on our way, and we're well on our way towards almost reaching last season's goal of $29,220. Which is a fantastic achievement. We are shortening the time at which these things take, which is why I upgrade the donation goal every season. And I do appreciate, all the donations. Sorry. I do appreciate all the donations, obviously. Going to a great cause of Child's Play charity. Getting toys, books, games to kids in hospitals around the world. Find out more about that charity at childsplaycharity.org or donate directly using the official Child's Play charity widget on the home page of Far Lands or Bust. Indeed. So, what else was I talking about? Yeah, I'm hoping, I know I've mentioned, I'm going to PAX Prime. That is the end of August, and PAX, the Penny Arcade Expo, Penny Arcade are the founders of Child's Play charity, so I'm hoping that there is some sort of Child's Play charity appearance, booth, something at PAX so that I can meet the people involved with Child's Play charity. I don't know if anything official could be done, like maybe I could say, I'm for all of you who might also be attending, I'll be at the Child's Play charity booth from this time to this time, and come meet and say hello and blah 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 and whatever. So who knows? I don't know if they do that sort of thing or not. I will have to make sand eclipse. There was an eclipse. It sounded like I was about to. That was the next verse of the song. There was an eclipse a few weeks ago. No, I think it was last week in Australia. It was a annular eclipse, which means that the moon was a little bit closer than for a full eclipse, so there was a little ring of the sun left around it, but that was through Australia. And I got a few messages on Twitter from you guys who might have seen that and said, I saw it, it's pretty cool, so that's cool. Indeed. Also, I guess referencing the last episode, I talked about... Hello. Suspiciously random pieces of gravel from the landing of the Soyuz Expedition 35 of the International Space Station. They did indeed land on time and safely, and I got once again messages from you guys who ended up watching that live on NASA TV. I unfortunately missed the live landing, but it's always cool, like, mentioning something like that and then having a response of people who, I would have never even thought of watching that or looking at that, and you let me know about it, and I thought it was kind of neat. Indeed, it's neat. It's kind of one of those things that, there's 3 human beings re-entering the atmosphere, slowing down from 17,000 miles per hour in a ball of fire, yet the mainstream news media makes pretty much no mention of it whatsoever, so it's up to us on the Twitterverse and on the Internetverse to kind of spread the word ourselves, which is why those NASA social events were so popular. They're kind of citizen outreach, I guess you could call it. It's kind of cool, but yeah, that happened. And oh dang, I should have before I started this episode, but yeah, there is going to be, I want to say within the next week, I will go this way because this way seems amazing. Within the next week, another launch of a new Soyuz capsule, which will take the next expedition, what I'm assuming will be officially Expedition 37 to the International Space Station. There's generally, right now there's only 3 people on the International Space Station, 3 people in space total. It'll be brought up to 6 once again to the full International Space Station capacity. Indeed, space. What else is going on? I kind of related. I have a question from Old Crow Express, fellow introvert Old Crow Express, who donated to Child's Play Charity and left a message with his donation with a question, giving me things to talk about. Old Crow Express asked, if you could fly anything at the controls, what would it be? Assuming by saying fly, you're talking about either aircraft or spacecraft. Obviously, a spacecraft would be a marvelous thing to fly because that would mean I'm going to space. So I wouldn't be too picky about that, but generally... Oh, geez Louise, that scared me. I'm like, what is this crinkling paper sound? Oh, it's lava. It's a lava flow. Zisto. So yeah, I mean, the only really, I guess, flyable spacecraft there ever was, the rest, the capsules and things are pretty much automated systems, unless you're coming to docking. That's usually handled by humans. But it's normally automated launches and re-entries and things. But the space shuttle itself is something that had to be flown for the last few miles to the landing. That was handled by a pilot. So I would say a space shuttle, I suppose. The other one would be the Apollo LEM, the lunar lander. While mostly a computer handles the landing in the event that there needs to be some human interaction, say as what happened with Apollo 11. Neil Armstrong disabled the computer and took over because the computer was going to land it in a field of boulders, so he's like, nope, this ain't gonna happen. So he actually switched off the computer and landed on the moon with his bare hands, I guess you could say. So, that'd be cool. But I guess more realistically, I have flown an airplane before. There was, in a local airport, sometimes they'll have open house days or not necessarily a full-on air show. Those are generally, things you watch with stunts and jets and planes and stuff like that. But this was more of kind of an open house thing, and there was a little bit of a program where you could sign up and take a ride in an airplane. And I had to have been not much older than 13, 14 at the most, maybe. And I got to sit in the co-pilot seat of, I don't know, but I'm assuming it had to be a Cessna 172 or something. One of the very popular private, small single-propeller 4-seat airplanes. The Cessna 172 being the most popular of that. You're keeping close there, Wolfie. Hi. It had to have been that. I honestly didn't make note of it. But yeah, and I got to sit there, and then while we were in the air, he let me take the controls, turn left, turn right. It's kind of a funny-ish story. Awkward story, I guess you could say, with that, is while we were up, you obviously have the big headphones on and the microphone, so you can't just talk to somebody else in the cabin like you can within a commercial airline. It's very noisy, etc. So we had that thing, and at about my luck, at about the time he told me to take over and was kind of quote-unquote teaching me how to fly left and right and rudder pedals and this and that and the other. The little plug on my my headset came unplugged, and he was telling me instructions or something, and I kind of panicked and froze. I didn't notice it had come unplugged, but I'm like, I can't hear you, and I'm screaming over the noise of the propeller, and that was awkward. There was a lot of awkwardness in there, but I flew a plane. And then, but yeah, I'll wake up in the morning and actually, you know, obviously my live stream is not to fly a Cessna 172, but I'll try to think of a more interesting answer, and we'll check out that kind of cool biome over there in the morning. And I can't hear the pilotness. That was awkward. Spelunk. So yeah, I did that, but I suppose I do like the old World War II bombers. I mean, like a B-17 is a very cool airplane. I'm sure it is a handful to fly. Of course, you almost, you know, I mean, that would just be kind of a leisurely flight, if you will. If I could, I know they have the two-seat Mustangs. Mustangs are incredibly... P-51 Mustangs are incredibly what I would consider to be very sexy aircraft. That would be cool. I don't know. I know I mentioned in one of the previous Kerbal Space programs where I was flying some planes made by somebody else that the F-117 Nighthawk, the stealth fighter, was one of the planes that, as a kid growing up, was like my favorite thing in the world. But it's what I don't have any like, oh, I need to fly that airplane. You know, I'm not a pilot. I don't know really of any pilots. I don't fly that often, so I think it would just be cool to fly. You know, I did consider a while ago when I was in that stage before I started YouTube where I'm like, I dislike my full-time job as a web designer, trying to look for different things to make my life a little bit more interesting and you know, I always had the notion that I didn't want to be stuck in an office job or this or that, just to make it a little bit more extraordinary. Maybe I should get like my private pilot's license or something like that. So I started looking into that. It's very expensive and it's kind of hard to... Becoming an actual commercial pilot is a feat and a half. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that. Probably be more expensive than going to college when I, you know, actually got a bachelor's degree in college. But I mean, beyond that, I'm like, well, you could get your license, but then you could be certified for like air traffic control or maybe some sort of support. Oh, that's weird. Hold on, I gotta come over and look at this. Kind of a cube land over here. Cool. It's like a sculpture crazy horse or something. To the west, it tells me. To the west, it points, and to the west, I will continue. Sorry. Overly dramatic. Woof, yeah. So, yeah, that was kind of a thing I was looking at. You know, maybe some sort of support role at an airport or some sort of... you know, like a private... I would not want to work at, like, an international full-on airport. No thanks. I despise going to those places enough as a traveler. So, that was always on my mind. But yeah, I don't necessarily have, like, a list of things. I don't... You know, there are cars I'd like to drive, too. I like the old 50s cars. To be able to drive a Hudson Hornet or an old 55 Chevy or you know... And even an old, like, rat rod or something like that would be really cool, but... You know, to do this or to do that, you have little... Oh, that'd be neat. Oh, that'd be fun. But really, it's just... I'll take whatever things come my way, and if I do have opportunities... I didn't... Yeah, I guess speaking of that, I didn't drive a NASCAR. I rode in the NASCAR. I mentioned that a while ago. I did the Richard Petty driving experience. I did not pay for the full up, you know, get in the driver's seat and drive 5 laps or something like that. I did the ride-along, which was much cheaper, where a professional sits in the driver's seat and there's a passenger seat and they drive you around at 170 miles an hour around the track. I'm not sure if I would enjoy... That's a thing and a half to handle. I know they do similar things for IndyCar and stuff. They make two-seater things. Although instead of the Richard Petty, I suppose, isn't that like the... what's his name? The famous Indy driver. What's his name? Mario Andretti? Michael Andretti? One of the Andrettis have the driving ride-along program for Indy cars. Indeed. So who knows? Thank you very much for the donation, though, and the question. Kind of a sort of a segue. I was talking about my job as a web designer, and I got another question from a donator. Matt asked, web and graphic design. What? Sorry. Let me try again. Web and graphic design. Was it ever difficult to continue being creative with designs? What would you do if a customer rejected a design? How did you keep the job exciting? I quit and started doing YouTube full-time. If YouTube didn't work out, would you return? The return of the graphic designer. Let me start from the beginning. Yes, it was very difficult to continue being creative, especially since the jobs that you particularly have, it's one of these things. It's not all amazing artistic rainbows and cutting-edge graphics and Web 2.0 and fancy slider thingies. This looks like it might not be a fun place to be hanging around too often. What's this? Is this a spawner? This looks like a spawner to me. I can recognize a spawner from a mile away. Or at least, like, 20 blocks, at least. Whoa, there seems to be life. Life finds a way. Ah. Obviously, it's a zombie spawner, and obviously it is starting to cave in with water here. Excuse me. I'm trying to do something here. Get up in the water. Yep. And... yep. Got it. Marvelous! Marvelous job, water physics. Marvelous. What? I remember when that used to happen, where even though you closed it off, the water, for whatever reason, would still... oh, unless this is a source block. Is that a source block? That was a source block. Maybe that was the problem. Whoop! I'm down here. I believe the chest is probably under here. Bread. I don't need bread. Oh my gosh, at the buckets. Oh, more extra iron. I guess we could do a quick... thorough search for the other chest, although I don't think there appears to be one. I will continue the graphic design, web design story in a moment. Hold on. After I release these zombies. Oh god, I released the zombies. You're dead. Wolfie, stay out there. Yeah, I don't think there's another chest. I think we could probably... just safely continue. Indeed. Alright, so... what was I saying? The graphic design, web design. It's not... I know throughout college and taking classes and stuff in web design, graphic design, etc. All the projects you get to do, you get to kind of flex your creative muscle. It's like create an identity for a company you would have invented. So you think of some awesome company or recording studio or, you know, some awesome space flight center, you know, something awesome like that. And then... you know, create a website for your favorite band, or, you know, while all well and good, it doesn't really reflect when you get into a job of doing web design, graphic design. I mean, there are some of those things available, but they really obviously only go to the top talent, to the top studios or firms or the full-on advertising agencies. The stuff you get as a local freelancer or in a small studio is mostly the companies that need all these same services, but they're not exactly glamorous. So I had a lot of industrial companies, a lot of like startup businesses, like this lady designs some sort of handbag accessory and She started doing this in her garage or, her basement. Oh, well done, boat. Good job. You've totally succeeded at being a boat. Good job. Good lord. That was horrendous. It's not the awesome stuff that you saw in school. So, oh, Wolfie, careful. A lot of the stuff I had was even, industrial manufacturing type stuff. There was one, it's kind of interesting because then you start to think, like, how do these people get into this business? There was one company, the entire company, all they did was make, I guess, how would it go? Like pipe and drainage systems for hazardous wastes, like acid and laboratory and those sort of systems. It's like such a specific market. And I understand, yes, that it needs to exist because there is a market for that. But it's just like, how does this one person start this business? And then they've been, handing it down throughout the generations of their family and stuff like that. It's like, where did you just wake up one day? I know. I need to make pipe and drainage systems and fittings for hazardous wastes. This is the career that I choose, and I will excel at it, and I need a website. So, hi, Kurt. I'm going to employ you to do such a thing. So it's not, that obviously is not... Get out of here, you. Hi. Not the, not something you could go all fancy with. They just want to convey their message. There's a lot of charts and white papers and different things like that. They have a kind of a crummy logo that they've had for the past 50 years, so you got to use that. But hold on, let me go to sleep, and we'll continue complaining about my past job in the morning. And awakeness. Bloop. So yeah, that's the majority of the thing. I mean, every once in a while you get kind of what you would think to be kind of a cool sort of project, but overall it's not as glamorous. So yes, it is hard to keep motivated simply because it's kind of the work itself is a little bit boring and really doesn't require you to be too creative. So it can be kind of, you don't exercise the creative muscle. It tends to atrophy, and then when it does come time to be creative, you can't because you've been designing tables of data for what kind of waste can go through what diameter pipe with what composition for the last 6 months or whatever. So, yeah, so that's a problem, I guess. What would you do if a customer rejected your design? Kick them in the face! You always kind of build that in to your quote. And you always tell them, okay, this includes, from the get-go, after our initial consultation, I guess you could say, this includes two options, two directions we can go. Before we actually start, say, coding the website, here's two layouts that we can go with. Based on what you've said, and we can make minor, if you pick one, we can make minor revisions to that. If you say, no, I hate both of these, then it's like, okay, well, now we're talking about extra. This is above and beyond the scope of the contract you signed. So that's the way you can protect yourself from stuff like that. But also, it helps to educate yourself in knowing how to explain to the customer that you are an expert. Like, they hired you for a reason. It helps to have some data or studies or, analytics even, when somebody asks for, I need to have, this many links or I want to put the people who always want to put all the information on one page, as a long scrolling page. You can come back at them with studies and saying, okay, people tend to leave pages if they're over this long or there's this much text. You can... As long as you can back up your data and it's not just opinion. And sometimes, in very unfortunate situations, when the client is just very adamant that they are right and you are wrong, you just have to go with their bad decision, which once again is not too great for the old your creative ego, I guess I could say, because it's like you know your idea is much better and will do them much better, but they are convinced and they are the ones paying you, so you do what they say and then charge them extra. What was the last part of that question? How did you keep the job exciting? I didn't. Sorry. That you'll have to figure out yourself. If YouTube didn't work out, would you return? I suppose that would be one of my only options, and that I've talked about this before, especially after Minecon. I mentioned how myself and Seth Bling, were kind of chatting about, this is kind of an unexpected but a cool thing to be doing full time, and we just both don't know what happens. We want it to last as long as possible because we don't know what the heck to do next. Like, where would we even... What kind of a situation would we apply for a job, or how would we put the last 2 years of doing YouTube on our resumes? And I would have to create a resume again. Oh, that's just the worst thing ever. So I don't know. I suppose immediately, like right after the fact, if right away I saw, okay, YouTube isn't working, I would have had to return. I did have, after I quit, in July, I quit my job and then was kind of just living off savings. I was looking for jobs. I had a few interviews that didn't end up panning out that were web design, marketing. They were... That sounds like a spawner down there somewhere. But I don't care. Continue on. So yeah, I probably would have to, but I don't know. I as I mentioned in the last episode, I take it day by day. I don't expect too much, but then again, I don't have too many long-term plans or goals or escape routes, if I guess you could call it an escape route, in case it doesn't work or it just suddenly stops. So, just enjoying it. Enjoying hanging out with you guys, enjoying all the videos that I'm doing, enjoying raising money for Child's Play charity. I'm eventually going to be enjoying going to PAX, and then later this month they're going to announce when and where Minecon is going to be happening this year. So day by day is all we can do. Indeed. Woof. Day by day. Wolfie agrees. Another donator. Rbugs95 asked, I would like to get into doing multiplayer videos, I suppose he's saying on YouTube, but I don't really know anyone. Do you have any suggestions on finding others to play with? How did you find people to play with? It's basically, I think during last year's Minecon, was either Generic B or Blame the Controller. Somebody asked a similar question, more along the lines of how do you end up doing co-op things on YouTube? How do you grow your channel, etc.? And they mentioned just grouping up with channels of similar size and views and subscribers that you enjoy. Subscribe to them, like their videos, comment on their videos, and then if you can end up, getting some sort of talking back and forth, and then making multiplayer co-op videos with those people is a lot more both fulfilling and fun than, say, if, you were suddenly to do a video with Etho or something like that. It's more beneficial to grow with somebody else as a channel. Similarly, Good and B00 and Good and Generic B, or not, I mean Generic B and B00 and Beef and Pause. They're all around the same time, the same amount of subscribers, and started playing games together, making videos together. They've, grown similarly, and same thing with most of the Mindcrack members. So it's not about getting a like or getting a sub, box on somebody who's super popular or anything like that. It's about meeting people of similar interest. It's almost, I could say, YouTube is still, despite being a video sharing, content producing video, buzzwords, integration, Synergy. A video sharing service, content service. It is a social media platform. So you just have to find similarly minded, similarly interested people, but also similarly sized people, and then you can kind of build your community via that way. And you shouldn't, like I've always said, you shouldn't focus on, oh, I need to get my channel bigger. Just have fun. If you have fun and your friends, the people you find, oh my gosh, that's a party going on over there. Indeed. There's a lot of zombies. I almost feel like there might be a zombie spawner under there. I don't really see any skeletons, so I think I'm safe. Alright, no, that's just a lot of darkness. Alright. Ah! Careful, Wolfie. Run, Wolfie! Let us leave this place. Oh, man. You don't see much of that anymore. I remember in one of my first worlds I came across a place like that. Is that creeper still following? No. Oh, no, what happened? I was digging around under caves and stuff, and I think I came up in a place like that, and I thought it was nighttime, but it was actually just an overhang. Ah, okay, Wolfie's like, get going, this place. It makes me nervous. Oh, the sun is kind of going down. So that's what I would recommend. And yeah, I get a lot, and to be honest, my YouTube inbox, the message inbox, is out of control. There's over 200 messages I have in there. 90% of them are just spam. You all get the same messages, I'm sure, I hope. Your random musicians or rappers, check out the new music video that have just spammed 20 different accounts. Then there's the other ones who just copy and paste. Oh, you're my favorite YouTuber. Check out my channel and subscribe. Even though they've accidentally spelled your name wrong or your series and stuff like that. And unfortunately, I guess I am missing out on the 1%, 1 to 5% of messages that I do get that are genuinely from fans who have questions or anything like that. But I think people overestimate. The point of telling that story was I think people overestimate the value of getting linked, say, on my channel or a bigger channel. I mean, that's fine and dandy, and I'm sure it would get you excited and stuff. But I mean, if you just look at, say, I mean, I'm not, let's look at Brian, Lorgon111. He makes great content, almost daily content. He's pretty much full time, and since the beginning, he's one of those channels that he and I started out at the same point in YouTube, and I guess we didn't really start playing multiplayer games together, so maybe that's part of the reason why there's he had a full-time job as well. I quit my job. He had a full-time job, but yeah, I referenced Lorgon111. Brian, Lorgon111. He was in the KGBs. We did the Super Hostile thing together, and we did other YouTubes. We were constantly mentioning each other, yet despite having great content that I enjoy, I like his videos regularly and mention him all the time, it isn't the suddenly immediate, you're going to have 100,000 subscribers like KurtJMac if he mentions you sort of thing. So I don't put too much weight into that when you're looking at trying to do multiplayer stuff, or just YouTube in general, I think. Which, by the way, if you want to prove me wrong, youtube.com/Lorgon111. Great content indeed. I don't know why. I should... dang it. No, wait, put this back down. Hold on, I'm going to make some tools. Let's make another axe, so we don't have all of this. Get... Oh, dang, hell's blazes. All right, whatever. I'll deal with this cluttered situation in the morning when we wake up in the next episode. But until then, subscribe to Lorgon111. Prove me wrong. Also, go to farlandsorbust.com to give to Child's Play charity. Right on the homepage, we're trying to reach kind of a little bit of a milestone for us, $29,220. That's last season's goal. We would have done it in record time, and overall $100,000 this season. When we reach that is when I will finally press F3, where we will find how far I've gotten. So I appreciate your enthusiasm and all the people who continue asking that in the comments, but we've got a ways to go. A lot of kids to help out in hospitals around the world through Child's Play charity. I do appreciate it. Woof! My name is Kurt. Thanks for watching. I will see you next time. Got sand all over the place in my face. Sand in my face.